What's up, guys, and welcome back at Skin in the Game podcast. So we got my friend here, our guest, Nabeel. What's up, Nabeel?
What's up, Skin in the Games? How y'all doing, man?
How you feeling, bro?
I'm blessed, brother. I can't even complain.
I love it. What's up, Toro? How you been?
What's
bro?
up, man? I'm good. Speaking to the mic though, when you
You gotta get closer. Yeah, there we go. Because we gotta hear you well.
Before we have another Mimi moment.
Yeah, we don't want.
Snap.
Yeah,
The Mimi moment.
nah. We're like you gotta be like right there.
Right here. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's good? What's good? What you got for us today, man? Introduce our guests. Like,
Yeah, man. Nabeel. I know Nabeel now for what? How long I know you, Nabeel?
Year and a half now?
About a year and a half. Solid dude, Muslim brother. So tell us a little bit about your story, man. Where you come from? Where were you born? Where's your family from? And
Man, so I'm a native of India. Was born in India. Was raised in the States, right? From the DMV area. Just been living in Chicago for the last 15 years. Who I am as a person, I'm a Muslim first and foremost, right? I identify as that off grip. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a humanitarian, and I'm for the people, by the people type of individual, bro.
okay, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up. So, what made your parents come to the States?
I think what's beautiful about immigrants, right? Whether you're Latino, Arab, Indian, I think there's similar struggles that I think this is where me and Oscar and probably you too, brother, bond on and stuff, right? America is definitely the land of the free and opportunity, right? My dad left India and Saudi Arabia back then in the 80s, 87, 88, if I'm not mistaken, to come here to start a new life, both for medical treatment needed for me, but also to pursue new opportunities in America, just knowing the economics was way better over here than they were back home in India and Saudi Arabia at the time.
Yeah. Nice. What part of India are you from?
So South India, a city called Bangalore. Bangalore now to India is like the Silicon Valley, like California is to the IT world.
Okay, yeah. But what country is like your neighbor?
So north of India is Pakistan. Just east of India is Bangladesh, and north of Pakistan is Afghanistan. Okay. So those are like the three regions. So you know how
where you were from? Where
from India?
India. No, I'm saying what country bordered your?
So we're from South India. There's nothing that borders South India. That's on the coastal.
Oh,
land.
so that's straight ocean.
It's straight ocean. It's like
I ain't hit with my geography.
You didn't pay attention.
All good, big dog. I didn't either till maybe a few years back. I was just concentrating on the map, oh snaps.
I was asking because I seen a documentary on how Pakistan and India have been at war for so many years.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if you were in the middle of all the war torn areas and stuff.
So man, it's interesting that you said that. So 1945 or 46, don't quote me on that, was when independence was granted to India, right? Prior to that, England, just they've colonized just about every other country in the world, colonized India and separated India from Pakistan. So in 1945 onwards, I don't know if they're at war right now, India and Pakistan have always constantly gone over war with each other for the small middle-lying country called Kashmir, right? So what England did, and it's well documented, is that they gave part of Kashmir to India and the other part of it to Pakistan. So it's always caused this rift friction of power and friction between the two countries.
That's crazy.
So how old were you when you came to the States?
I was 4 years old.
Oh, okay. So you're a young buck.
Yeah, I was a shorty, bro. Yeah, I mean, VA cats like to say. You know what I mean?
So what's the culture as far as I know everything is probably different, but as far as your family culture, how they bring you up, because I know a lot of immigrants are more entrepreneur mindset.
Man, that's amazing that you asked. So my family growing up was extremely conservative, super religious. There was definitely establishment of gender role at a very young age, and I don't think it was purposefully done. My dad was just a little bit more educated than my mom at the time, But my mom, just like every other immigrant auntie that's out there, was also a hustler too. So she went and got a job, not because all this BS that's going on right now about like going 50-50 and stuff. It was just like, hey, I got to help support because we're trying to get established right now, right? And it was more so about like, if we don't get established and do right by our kids might end up in areas that we don't necessarily know the geographics around, right? Because as immigrants, new culture, new like identity, new language, new everything. So we grew up very conservatively. So like I was constantly reinforced being Muslim as a kid, and then you know, I remember in like '92 reading the autobiography of Malcolm X and watching the movie, and he kind of made it cool to be Muslim, right? And so my parents, I was like essentially a latchkey kid, right? They were always at work, and me and my sister kind of raised each other. And I think that's like typical across the spectrum.
Typical immigrant family for real.
True. Yeah, that happened to me and my sister.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, your dad was here, mine wasn't. So same thing. My sister used to do most of the cleaning. I used to do most of the cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We attempted to cook a lot. I think we definitely went through maybe like 5 microwaves and like a few toaster ovens, bro. We were blowing shit up even though when we shouldn't have been blowing shit up.
We ain't cook at my house. It was just straight pot of beans every day.
For real.
That's it. Beans.
That's
Boom.
what's up.
yeah, no, I used to learn how to cook at a young age.
Man, that's
I was like, what, 12? Yeah.
12. That's what's up, man. So you probably could cook pretty good right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Ladies, you know what I'm saying?
Another notch under this man's belt. You know.
Yeah.
We taking applications.
We got a couple things, you know, under the belt.
And from what I heard, he's got his papers now.
Let's
Let's go. Congratulations, bro.
The criteria is
Straight up.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah, man.
That's funny. Damn, man. Okay.
So like you were saying, you were raised conservative and all that. Like, what do you think about now? Like, you know how they, I don't know how you, what's your thoughts on like Andrew Tate, but you know that culture, how they all look down upon it and, you know, are trying to trash him.
Man, I love Andrew Tate, G. Like, straight up, free Top G. You know what I mean? Let him get out of, like, his house arrest that he's on. I loved him before he got locked up, and I love him even more after he got locked up, right?
One thing that I noticed, sorry to interrupt,
Go for it.
was if you look at the first interview with PBD and then the second, what's the main thing that you noticed different about him?
Man, first one, I did feel like I'm not going to say he was, like, on guard, but his arrogance level was, like, through the roof, or confidence level was through the roof at that cigar spot, and he was really speaking his mind. I mean, this is the observation. I felt like the experience of him being in jail, the second interview, he was coming with a lot more humility, but there was a level of, like, strategic placement to what he was saying, right?
Okay.
I think he was watching his delivery on how he made people feel, but still kept true to him being
Keep
top
a G.
I mean, he said it. He said it on the interview that like, you know, a lot of people, you know, take what he says wrong because he sounds so arrogant. But he was like, it's not really arrogance, it's confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's
What did
actually,
you notice?
that's not, that yes, he's more humble and more like strategic about his delivery, absolutely. But he mentions God a lot more.
100%.
Oh yeah.
He mentions God a lot more, man. Yeah. So I feel like that experience really humbled him and got him like, you know what, man, I might be top G, but I'm not top G.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, I take his word on it, you know, but if it's true what he said about he did Ramadan locked up, kept his food, you know, away from the roaches and all that, you know, so he could eat at night, you know, then, yo.
I respect. I mean, if we go down in history, right, like Martin Luther King, right, Malcolm X, Jamil Amin is another person that comes to mind. Now Tate. All of these individuals, because they're in constant, like, isolation, right? And when you're in isolation, it's like he said in the interview, either you have these anxious thoughts running through your mind or you're forcing yourself to get close to God. Because think about it, right? Like when we're in jams, sometimes we might reach out to some of the close homies, like, "Hey, bro, look out!" But like, it's like that one meme I recently.
You gotta get closer to.
It's like that one meme I recently read, but that makes me think about God, right? Is it's like, I am the homie that some homies have, and some homies call me because I am that homie. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah,
But there's nobody higher than God for you to just constantly rely on.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you feel me?
Yeah, I wasn't like I went through similar to what Andrew Tate going through, but different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in solitary for like 7 months.
Wow.
So I ain't had nothing to do, and that's all I did was like look upon like God and stuff. And I remember one of my cellmates, not cellmates, one of my neighbors. He was next to me. We were both locked down 23-1.
That's crazy.
So he was a Muslim. He had the joint on his forehead and everything. Like, but dude was black dude from the hood. You couldn't even tell he looked straight Muslim. And I used to always like ask him like, "Yo, how you doing?" And blah blah blah. How you do it, bro? I'm like, I just got here. You've been here 2 years already.
He had already been there for 2 years.
And 23-1 for 2 years.
Wow, bro.
So he was like, God, man, he gets me through everything.
So he was in solitary confinement for 2 years?
Yeah. Remember when you told me you were like, damn, you were there for 7 months? I was like, yeah, but I met people
That's
like Rastafarians
wild.
that refuse to cut their hair that been in there for like 10, 15 years.
That's
15
crazy.
years in solitaire, bro.
Yeah.
That's insane, bro.
Sammy the Bull did 7? 6 or 7?
I don't know if I was telling you, but I was in there with a serial killer.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
His name was Prieto. He'd been in solitary for about 15.
15.
Yeah,
bro.
15. And he didn't come out every day.
So I'm curious to know, depending on the type of crime that is committed, is that the type of treatment that you'll get as it pertains to solitary confinement?
No, like everybody's case is different. Like, dude was a serial killer, so obviously he's gonna, what I'm saying, be in solitary. The Muslim dude, they trying to say he was a terrorist.
That's the typical label.
Yeah, so he was in. He did his. I think he did like 10 years in the feds.
When was he locked up?
This was in like 2008.
Wow. So this was still post 9/11.
Yeah,
post a lot of that agenda pushing that they were pulling on a lot of Muslims.
Yeah. So he was there. He did his sentence. He did everything.
Wow.
He's the one that taught me about the ACLU.
Wow.
Like, cause he was in contact with the ACLU, but he did his bid, the feds, and then after that they put a federal hold on him. They didn't charge him with nothing. Yeah. He was just there.
Sounds about right.
And like, solitary was so full, that's why I was next to him, but they usually kept both the cells beside him empty.
So what did you do to keep yourself like mentally strong and spiritually strong, bro? Like, what were some of the
Yo, I was only like 16 or 17 at that time.
Wow.
So I didn't really, you know what I'm saying, stay strong. I was in that joint crying my ass off sometimes.
I bet, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Looking out the window because
you were a kid, bro.
Yeah, in Arlington County, you could see everybody walking. So like, at least you had that. I've been in other solitaries where there is
nothing.
Window.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like, I read a lot.
The hole.
I learned how to read in Spanish. I never learned how to read Spanish.
That's dope.
I started reading. I was about to like for real take what they call the shahada.
Yeah.
While I was in there.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
What's Shahada?
like become a Muslim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was legit about to become a Muslim while being in there talking to that dude all the time.
Damn.
And then they moved them, so then it was like boom. Like, after that it was
separation, yeah.
But I read a lot of, that's how I like knowing a lot about like, Islam and all that. And
that's dope, bro.
Christianity and all this other stuff is because I was just fascinated. I would just read. Like, I've never read so many books in my life.
That's freaking amazing, bro.
Yeah. And I went from like reading stupid, like, I forgot the dude's name, Alex Cross books, to like reading biographies and like religious texts and all that.
Man, it's so interesting that you're saying this. I've worked with a few nonprofits when I was in Chicago, like years ago, like before I was just like, nah, full blown capitalism and like entrepreneurship. Every individual that I've met that's seen solitaire, that's been locked up, has gone through like some type of like trauma in their life, are some of the most laid back, chill, calm individuals that I've like met. Like, if you wouldn't have shared that story with me, bro, I would have just been under this impression of like, man, what a chill, hospitable individual. You know what I mean? So that tells you a lot about like the framing of what happened in there and your reflective mind coming out of there.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was only six. Like I was telling you last time, I was only 16 in that joint, and like because they certified me as an adult. And at first they threw me in solitary because I was in protective custody. They couldn't, put me in population with the rest of the grown folk, So I kind of already knew, like, damn, now, like, I got to grow up fast now. There's penitentiary rules like being clean, not hovering over people's food, stuff that I had no idea over. And if it wasn't for, like, OGs in there, then, I would have just been like any wild, young dude because a lot of youngins, they wild out in there.
Interesting.
But like sitting back and seeing them wild out for nothing, for what,
Wow, bro.
just because somebody skipped you on a tray or something. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, bro.
But the Muslims there, like the Muslim culture, while you're locked up, it's like they're all together. They're all one. And if you fuck up, like, they'll put you to the side, like, they put you on check pretty much. You know what I'm saying? They don't also if you ain't got no food, they'll let you borrow the food with no interest back.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, we're looking out. It's like in Islam, we have a saying, like, every Muslim is like one massive human body. So, for example, let's just say hypothetically all three of us are Muslim and you're hurting, whether it's like physically, emotionally, whatever. I would do anything and everything that I have in my capacity to make sure that goes away, right? And same thing for him. So it's kind of like want for yourself. So one like huge principle in Islam is like want for yourself what you want for your brother. So you're always just boom. So if I'm up, you're gonna be up. You know what I mean? And there's certain sub communities in the Muslim community, which like there's a community called the Bora Shia community within the Muslim community, right? They won't let any of their individuals fall into debt. So let's just say you were working a 9 to 5, or you're a doctor and you can't get your licenses for whatever reason. You just came from Peru and you're still trying to figure
this
it out.
man.
But you know what I mean?
Paraguay, bro.
Oh, my bad, bro. I keep, you know what I mean?
Yo,
my geography
I'm about to be
ain't
like,
on
man.
point. You know what I mean? My geography.
I'm about to pull like Andrew Tate, man, like he did with the BBC. Have a good day. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. So that's one thing that, going back to Andrew Tate, that's what he said was that growing up in England, he said that most Muslims, a bunch of them live together and they're banking because they're like, all brothers and they're just like families living together. Instead of having 3 houses, they have one big house, split the bills, and then they're like living good because they're saving money.
100%.
Bro, and what he said is so true because it's like, it's usually the women that have a problem with it because the guys, look, they're all with the whole brotherly, like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if like I don't have a brother, but if I had a brother, it would be tight living with him, his family, like seeing my brother, let's go fishing, whatever.
Yeah, let's go to the gym early. Hey, wake your ass up, boy.
Yeah, like your kids again, but you're grown-ups.
Man, I knew a family that I'm super close to in the Chicago area, right? In one of the outlying suburbs, till their kids got older and they moved out because all of them had like 5 kids each, and it couldn't fit in auntie and uncle's house that they grew up in. But the 3 siblings, auntie and uncle, and 2 of their aunts all lived under one roof. but the functionality of that family was just like so ideal, bro. One aunt cooked for everybody because she was kind of like a stay-home aunt. Auntie and uncle were both doctors, and then they groomed everybody else to be doctors, but they were like entrepreneur doctors. You know what I mean? They had a bunch of like different like clinics and stuff.
Yeah.
And you just saw uncle was like the definition of like an alpha male before an alpha male became this like title that everybody's like throwing around. He got up hella early, right? Like 4 o'clock. He was praying out the door by like 5:30 a.m. Did not get home till like 9:30, 10, bro.
Dang.
Auntie got home at maybe like 6, like the typical 9 to 5, but she was always there for the kids, right? They never felt left out, right? Uncle was sometimes missing in action. That's because he was getting the bread. Yeah. But he always ran that family. And like Tate said, this particular uncle, he always looked out for the less fortunate too, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm making all this money, you have to follow these filters or else, right? It was just like, no, God is giving us this money. We're not in control. Yeah. Ultimately, he is. Yeah. We're submitting to him, and whatever I have is everybody else's because that was the responsibility bestowed upon me. That's how a lot of Muslim families think, bro.
Damn, that's lit.
Even if you don't have money.
It's different.
Yeah, bro.
It's different. Wow. Damn. Interesting. Damn. But I was gonna ask you. Oh, okay. So actually, did you guys know that today is the Flag Day?
Oh yeah,
Gay Flag Day or
no? Like the United States Flag Day.
So I just saw something online about that. I just thought it was somebody like trying to refute the alphabet communities.
No.
So it's legit Flag Day.
Today is Flag Day. I looked it up. Where is it?
All right, cool. We believe you, bro. It's Flag Day.
Damn.
Yeah. You know, one thing I do want to talk about while you're looking that up, how come America has so many freaking holidays, bro? I remember just growing up, like, here in America, going to school, it'd be, like, Professional Day, President's Day, Flag Day.
Every week is a day.
It was like a different day. I'm just like...
Back home, there's holidays, too.
Yeah.
There's not like here, but there's you're right. There's more holidays here. But here's my challenge. Like I posted this today. I saw someone posted it, but like I thought it was like, someone was just clowning or whatever. Yeah. So then I looked it up, and it says that definitely today is
Flag Day.
Flag Day. Today's the day for the United States flag.
But what's the significance of Flag Day?
So is the day, okay, so in the United States Army also celebrates the Army birthday on this day. Congress adopted the American Continental Army and teach after reaching a consensus position in the committee on the June 14th. So pretty much, so it's like the day that they celebrate the American flag. Because the American flag has been, there were so many different American flags before until the recent one. So my challenge is this, right? I posted this. I said, okay, it's not a real holiday. It's just Flag Day.
Right.
Right? It's one day. How is it crazy that most of us don't even know that today is the United States Flag Day, but they celebrate the LGBTQ for a whole month. And they celebrate that flag,
Rainbow Flag Day,
for a whole month.
So I think I have a short answer, but I'm going to reference Andrew Tate's second video, right? When he just did with Pat. You notice how Pat asked him something very similar, but not about days, but he was talking about, I think, the Muslim community. And Andrew Tate said something to the extent of like, hey, you go to Dubai or Saudi, you'll see head honchos walking around. Yeah. Right? You won't catch them over here. Yeah. And Pat asked was just like, why do you think that is? And he was just like, well, A, they don't want to smoke, right? And B, it's just different here in America. Like, if I had a bunch of skeletons in my closet, I think that's when he said that, like, infamous line from his. But he went on to say, hey, they're doctrinating into society 10, 15, 20 years before the agenda is actually going to get pushed.
Yeah.
Right? So I think what's happening now to answer your question, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when this topic was taboo, is when they were saying, this is how we're going to infiltrate it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And only the critical thinkers like yourself, like Brother Bert over here, right? Like those individuals were then probably are very far and limited in comparisons to everybody else, because you're following, basically being the sheep and following whatever the media has to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's why.
And the crazy thing, someone was like, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you're hating, I see." And I'm like, hating? I'm like, my sister's gay. I love her and her partner. They go to church with me. Why would I hate? I was like, I don't hate. It's just a thought that I have. 1. 2, is just, I have friends that are gay, bro. Obviously, my sister is gay. I got nothing against it. What does that have to do? Sexuality and sexual orientation, that's somebody's preference in the bedroom. Pretty much, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What does that have to do? That's your problem. Go ahead. But the problem that I have, me personally, is now if you don't celebrate or you don't agree with it, now you are a homophobic. Mm. Mm-hmm. Now you are old school, and then you're this and that. I also have a problem with grooming. Mm-hmm. Not just kids, also adults. Yeah. They're trying to groom us. Bro, nobody celebrates. I said this. I can't say this on camera. What I said to someone today. No one celebrates. No one celebrates me for my things that I like, right? Like women and, whatever. Yeah. No one celebrates that, right? Yeah. But why do we got... I mean, I understand that people have been oppressed, but there's been oppression for every race, every color, everything. Everyone has been oppressed at a certain time. Agreed. Muslims, Christians, depending on the country, African Americans, Africans,
100%,
white people, you name it. But I'm just saying, like, oh my God, we gotta cater to that.
So it's interesting that
that's just my thought. Like, I don't have anything against anyone, but it's just like, bruh. The problem is beyond that. The problem is way deeper than just celebrating that.
So I'll say this. I agree with 100% of everything you're saying. I have a big problem with this woke and liberal culture. I do. I don't care whether people like or dislike me for it. When you stand on respected principles, then stand on your principles. That's what's going to make you stand out. I also have an issue when individuals don't study the other side of an argument. Yeah. Right? And both conservatives and liberals actually suffer from this, where they only have a particular agenda that they want to push, and they'll only speak on that agenda. Mm-hmm. For example, CNN and Fox are both guilty of this, right? One pushes one side of the agenda, like, say, for example, black people 100% are like this, right? Yeah. That's one agenda pushing. Yeah. And then CNN will be like, no, they're actually being oppressed, and they have this side of the agenda. Yeah. And so you have a bunch of goofy, simpleton individuals that don't know how to critically think anymore, and they're just banking off of what these individuals are saying. Yeah. So I've always had the stance, like, if you're one of these thought leaders, right, you need to put both sides of the agendas out, right? Yeah. So if, let's just say hypothetically on the Muslim topic, if you're a thought leader in any type of space, and especially with all these podcasts and social media, don't pick and choose what person you're going to bring on based on the agenda that you're going to push. Yeah. If you really think, let's have a critical, debateful conversation, then bring a person on that you may not necessarily agree with, just so you can understand their point of view.
Why do you think PBD is doing what he's doing?
Yeah.
So I want to see PBD bring on more Muslims. I've only seen him bring on 2 Muslims, right? If he brings on more, and I can help PBD with that if he's open to it, right? If he brings on more scholarly individuals, like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. PBD interviewed Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson interviewed this great intellectual that's in England right now. His name is Muhammad Hijab. And he interviewed another scholar here in California by the name of Hamza Yusuf. I can get access to either or through my network, right? It would be good to see PBD interview one of those two, right? Because he'll get a true understanding of what Muslims really move like and what Muslims really talk like outside of maybe the war-torn country that he comes from in Iran, right? Because when you come from what's the word, a communistic regime that's always at war, there's never been a time that Iran hasn't been at war, right? There's been maybe some periods of peace, and that's when I think the Shah of Iran was in charge. So if you bring other individuals out, I think you'll truly see the true meaning of Islam rather than the followers, right? Yeah. And I think, so back to the LGBTQ community, I feel as though that community needs to stop grooming individuals and stop acting like they're actually oppressed. Because if you look at them economically, anywhere, DC, Chicago, bro, they're some of the more wealthier individuals.
Yeah,
they got crazy pull, right? So how are you really oppressed? Right? And lastly, if I'm a parent, right, I want to tell my kid how he should make some of those social decisions. I want to educate him on that, right? I don't think the teacher should, and nor should you have the autonomy to do so. Yeah. That's kind of my.
Did you see what they posted from the White House?
No.
Or something about I think I should have taken a screenshot. It's pretty much that Biden said that, you know, these are our kids. These are not your kids, pretty much. Saying that
they're starting to use the slogan, the tribe, like, you know, it takes a village to raise your kid. Yeah. Like they're trying to steal that. You know, a lot of black people that I know from back in the day, they used to always say that was like their thing. Like, yo, it takes a village. You know what I mean?
It does, but then they also, but like, you're a father, you got to give permission to somebody to raise them, right? Yeah. Like, yo.
But now they're trying to take that. Like, you know how the liberals, they use those words. Like, they always say, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Charlemagne the God.
Yeah.
He's like a liberal conservative. I don't know what he is, but he always says that the Democrats, they word everything perfectly. They have a good strategy, blah, 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 blah. And the conservatives, they're just too busy fighting each other. You ain't conservative enough. You ain't this. You know what I mean? And that's why the liberals are winning, because they're taking all this wordplay and they're using it perfectly,
and they're all on the same
push
page.
Their agenda.
Like they don't argue each other.
They don't, bro. They're like, yo.
And if they want to, they don't, because they know, you know, somebody up there got pulled and they're done. Like if they don't follow, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And did you guys see about the how they have that in the White House? They had all the transgenders and they were like shirtless and topless in front of the White House.
No, was that the event that recently happened?
Yes,
they were in front of the White House and dude was like this. He was covering his titties.
Yeah, and freaking Biden was there, bro, with them. Like,
yeah, see, dude,
that shit's evil, bro.
Me, man. It troubles me. That really.
What did they? Because they were making fun of him because they were like, apparently that Biden was like, we need to bring back decency or something to the country, and then they got.
Remember when they gave shit to Obama because he wore like a gray suit?
Oh no! It was a tan suit.
Yeah, that was a fly suit though, bro.
Yeah, that was all right. I need that suit. I need that suit.
Me too. Bro.
I need that suit.
And that was the conservatives that were giving Obama shit about it.
Yeah, it's stupid.
So you know, I need to see that same energy with this.
Yes, yeah, bro.
You know what I mean?
Like that's crazy, bro.
I was reading on Valuetainment how now if you're born in California, you have to go through a process in court to identify what the gender of your kid. There was some I'm forgetting the word, the legal like number that they give you, right? But basically you have to take the kid to court. It's like a bill that they're trying to pass, and you have to take them, and then the court will decide with the kid.
And majority of people ain't with this shit.
They not. Yeah.
But like a lot of immigrants, especially immigrants, they're so like I guess green. Like I was telling my dad didn't know it was like a fact that if he had a kid and his kid at 4 or 5 years old was saying he's a girl, and he gets a little older and starts saying that he wants the sex change or whatever, and say he's like, no, you can't. Like CPS can get involved.
When did this happen?
Because it's mentally he's mentally abusing that kid.
But
by
I
telling
thought
him
like
he's
18
not
or 17 is when you can make decisions like that.
Though there's a court case right now going on like that
in Virginia.
Nah, not in Virginia. I think it's either California.
Oh, of course, California,
or
California
somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
But if that case goes through, then
the whole that's crazy.
Because you're mentally like exhausting your child by telling him he's not a girl. Bro. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, bro, I'm not with that. I mean, so I'm curious to ask you, Oscar, since your sister is like that. Like, what is her thoughts with what's going on? Is she for the grooming? Is she anti-grooming? I've always wanted to know the perspective of those individuals from those communities.
Maybe we should bring her in here and ask her.
That would be something I.
Because one thing that I'm really proud of my sister now is that she's going to church. Mm-hmm. So she's growing. Her mindset is freaking growing like crazy. I'm impressed.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like we had a conversation about Trump, for example. He's racist. I'm like, okay, show me. It's everywhere. Show me. Show me where Trump says, I don't like Hispanics. I don't like black people. Show me. Show me. There's nowhere. I don't agree with everything that Trump says, but there's no proof. I saw this video that asked this woman this, do you think Trump is racist? Yes. Why? Because he hates black people. Okay, show me where. She was like, okay, what about Biden? Is he racist? No. His best friend is Obama. I'm like, well, he was a vice president. He's not his best friend.
There's videotapes of him saying wild stuff
about
black folks. Bro.
Not just that, about same-sex marriage. I just saw one today.
He dropped the N-word a few times, no?
Yeah.
Bro.
That's how I heard that.
But it's that manipulation.
And if you post that video, it says that video is taken out of context.
Yes, bro. It's crazy. So I was having that conversation with my sister, and then I started breaking things down. And I was like, I understand because that's who's in charge of showing you this? And she was like, I don't know. So I'm like, think about it. Think about it. Who's in charge of telling you that this information? Media and social media. Who runs that? Who runs it? Do your research.
Yeah, the liberals.
And then I was like, who was the most hated by the establishment? Who was the most hated president before Trump? Do you know?
Reagan.
No.
JFK.
What happened to JFK?
They murked
him.
Exactly, bro. And then I showed her some videos, and she was like, okay, starts to make sense to me now.
Except JFK was just way better of a fly dresser, though.
Oh, yeah, JFK.
Somebody needs, if Trump gets elected again, big dog, you got to retie your tie, big dog.
Yeah, they murked, it's a fact that they murked, MLK.
Absolutely.
They killed.
What about
Malcolm X?
Malcolm X.
Yeah, they killed Malcolm
You've
X.
seen the documentaries on all three of them, right? On Netflix?
I've seen some.
So there was up until just 4 years ago, it was an independent dude from here in DC that actually reversed engineered and studied who may have killed him, right? And there was definitely linkage to the FBI and stuff, but he found the murderers, and it wasn't the two people that initially got locked up, right? And then 3 years later, after finding the dude that actually did it, he passed away within 6 months of being.
That's
found.
crazy. He got suicide.
Yeah,
I forgot who was saying, but they can make it seem like there's this gun that can make you have a heart attack.
Wowzers, bro!
Make you die of natural causes.
Damn.
It was somebody that was on the PBD Jones.
Yeah.
It was either the CIA dude or the FBI.
Did you guys see? Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Did you guys see PBD's video about George Soros that came out yesterday?
No, I need to see it.
Oh my
I need to
God.
see it. I saw like maybe a snippet, like one of the shorts.
Fire.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I'll send it to you. Well, you'll find it, but it just came out yesterday.
Yeah,
What did he say?
It's like that's one thing. What I meant about PBD is that he doesn't tell you what to believe, but he was like he show you facts. He's like, some people believe this, some people believe this, but here are the facts. And I'm just like, you gotta watch it, bro.
Yeah, I got
about how he's funding all of like super like
and how it all started.
How it started. His mother, right? Something like that.
No. So he was working with the Nazis as a kid. They made him work with the Nazis as a kid.
George Soros.
Yes, and he's a Jew. And what he was in charge of is he was in charge of taking property from the Jewish people before they got taken away. That was his job. And they watched the video and they asked him, did that really? And he showed, BBD showed the video of the interview. Pretty much when they asked him, like, no, that didn't really affect me.
Oh, so he's interviewing directly?
No. He shows
pictures.
Pieces. Yeah, pieces of interviews.
Yeah.
Also, apparently he saw his mom get raped as a kid, same time, and that man was just messed up. And then also, he was like, he showed a part when pieces that quotes that pretty much saying that Soros believes that he's like God.
Oh yeah,
he's like God.
Yeah, nah.
And then he was like, and then he called. He was like, and then, and I forgot what year it was. He said that the Trump is the most narcissistic person ever. And then PBD was like, well, that's interesting that you say that he says that because he believes it's God. Yeah. So that's not narcissistic.
That's the epitome of narcissism.
Bro, you believe you're God?
That's how Pharaoh went down, big dog. Yeah, I mean,
you gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like 17 minutes.
I haven't.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
You tune in, bro.
I'm gonna have to tune in.
So, where does all this UFO shit fall in place with the whole agenda?
I don't know about.
Maybe it's just another carrot.
Yeah, maybe because like. Hasn't like what's the place in New Mexico, bro? Area 51.
Yeah.
Hasn't Area 51 been around forever, right? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah. In subject matters, I don't know too much about. I tend to like shy away from.
I'm gonna put my conspiracy hat on.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
Go ahead.
So y'all tell me if I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
What if they're the ones pushing the agenda?
Who, these aliens?
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Because check this out, because I heard this on Joe Rogan from I forgot who it was, but anyways, legend has it that aliens don't have genders. They're just there's a theory out there that they might just be they're evolved species, like maybe humanoid species that they're evolved, so they don't need gender. You know what I'm saying? They're so evolved they don't need gender because they can make babies like, synthetically or whatever.
What? So they don't have the fun part of making babies.
You haven't seen what Joe Rogan posted?
I'm like, don't take that away from me.
Yeah, but remember that movie?
I'm gonna be hyped.
Remember, I got a bunch of alien babies running around.
No, you don't remember that movie? I forgot what it's called. Y'all probably know.
Oh, you're talking about
the joint where he puts the joint on.
Yeah. The cone heads.
And then he's having like sex with the joint.
Just with they both put on the nah.
Hey,
I like
movies
the old school way.
From what I've been around 33 years.
Yeah.
With my experience with movies is sometimes they throw you a bone.
So, well, I'll rock with you on that. I will say this about the whole alien piece, right? I think God's ability is infinite, right? And in the Quran, it's mentioned like I've made individuals out of clay, then I've also made individuals out of fire, where that's like referencing to like unseen spirits and stuff like that, right? I do think that there's life has been identified sometimes, right? Like out of space and stuff. So I do think he's created beings. I've always had this idea, like, what if whoever we think are like aliens are actually like angels? You know what I mean? That's just like coming to see
Or
like
fallen angels.
Yeah, or fallen angels, right? Like
which can explain them pushing that agenda.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it could rock both ways.
Yeah.
You know?
You never know. But all right, so in Islam, say aliens are real, does that mean God doesn't exist?
Nah, God
Because I feel like some Christians don't want to believe in aliens because that'll X out God.
Why?
I have no idea. I've always had that question. Like the reason why they don't
So who
believe
created
in
the aliens?
Obviously God had to.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, anybody that says God doesn't exist, I can't have a proper conversation with you because I forget human species for a second, right? How do you explain the pyramids, the Grand Canyon, the access of the sun and the moon going from night to day?
Yeah.
How do you explain that? Like, what are you gonna go down this like
it's
big
too
bang?
Perfect.
It is, bro. So like, it's just like
too perfect for being coincidence.
I think when you become overly intellectual about something, you start to forget where that intelligence comes from in the beginning. Who put that intelligence?
For example, another thing that I heard was to make a computer to work as the brain works. Apparently, it has to be like way bigger than the Empire State Building, or there's like multiple. Like it won't fit in there.
Yeah.
For a computer to work the way our brain works.
See, that's a miracle of God in itself, right there, bro.
But what if you can create it?
But you can't create it. But I'm just saying,
because there's scientists that are steady trying to create humans without, like the natural way of creating humans.
Yeah, but it's not creating though. Yeah. They're not creating. They're taking like data
DNA,
and they're like,
they're trying to play God. Yeah. That's the scary part. It's like once you start trying to play God, like, yo, when is that wrath coming from him? Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think that's where submission comes in, right? Like for us to be able to say, hey, there's somebody higher than us. And being able to be humble on a constant level, right? Like even you could be the biggest billionaire in the world, but you got to be able to say, hey, this billion came from somewhere, right? And but you were talking about like angels and fallen angels. So in Islam, there isn't no such thing as like fallen angels per se. Like how in Christianity, how the devil's looked at as like a fallen angel, right? Because that falls into the whole concept of like the first sin and stuff like that. So we believe everything was already premeditated and pre-planned by God, that, hey, this is how it's going to be, and this is going to be the beginning of mankind. There's just like little, maybe like minor differences there, but if you look at the comparing and contrasting of the two religions, Christianity and Islam, they're like eerily similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard of that multiple times.
Eerily similar.
Have you ever heard of the religion called Baha'i?
Yeah, I have heard about it.
Do you know anything about it?
I know like bits and pieces of Baha'i. I know that they're based out of like Iran, right?
Yeah.
A lot of folks that are Baha'i come from there. The extent of what they worship and how they worship, I don't know. I know there's a massive temple that's like super gorgeous, actually. If you Google it, in Baha'i Temple, Evanston, Illinois, it's like a marvelous like piece you could look at. It reminds you of that Mormon church when you come down 495. Kind of gives you that vibe. Yeah, in Chicago.
I know Christians look at Baha'i like they're like the Antichrist type. Because it's like, they believe in like if you're a Muslim, you can be Baha'i. If you're a Christian, you could be Baha'i. If you're any other religion, you could be Baha'i because they feel like there's only one God. You know what I'm saying? And we're basically all worshiping that one God just in our own unique ways.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, for those
some Christians be like, yo, if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I don't agree with it. That I love Jesus. I believe in Jesus, but I don't believe that. But who is Jesus, though? Jesus is just God's son. It's not God. That's why a lot of people get it twisted. Jesus is pretty much as God and Jesus is God in a human. It was in a human body, but it's pretty much his son. Jesus is not God. That's why a lot of people get confused. Jesus was sent by God here to be a prophet.
Yeah. So I believe he's a prophet. Islam believes Jesus is a prophet. Where the slight difference comes in is Islam looks at everything from a very like puristic perspective, right? Not to say Christianity's impure or anything, but across the board in Islam, there's like this notion like God is like just pure as ever, right? And if we look at human beings, like the shell of us, regardless of how fresh, clean, fragrant stuff we are some filthy individuals, right? We excrete, we bleed, right? Yeah. Semen comes out of us, right? So the very action of like intercourse, right? That's not like, I mean, yeah, you reproduce from it. So to sit here and again, I'm just giving like an Islamic perspective on it, right? To sit here and look at it like, oh man, God had a son, right? And intercourse was happened. That's like we can't wrap that
But
around
it wasn't
our spiritual.
that's
even though it didn't happen, right? I know it didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Because we also believe it didn't happen.
Okay.
We believe that it was a miracle birth given to Virgin Mary. She's also Jesus is the second most quoted prophet in the Quran, and Maryam radiallahu anh, right? It's just the Arabic way of saying Mary. She has a whole chapter dedicated to her. And in fact, the hijab that you see women wearing in Islam is from Israel. Yeah. So, you know, we just don't believe that action actually happened, and that doesn't make him God's son. There's that slight difference there. But I think overall, if you actually compare and contrast, there's a lot more similarities to rock with than opposing views, bro.
Yeah. So do you know how Jesus was conceived?
From the Islamic way?
Yeah.
So we believe that Mary, like God basically blessed her, and Jesus was born, and when he was born, he uttered, "I am one of the prophets of God."
Okay, cool.
Right? That's what we believe.
Yeah. So the way we believe is that there's a Holy Trinity, right? Which is God,
God the Son,
God,
the Holy Spirit, right?
Yes, God the Son with Jesus and the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit actually went to Mary in her sleep and woke her up and said, "Hey, just to let you know that you are blessed with pretty much there's a baby inside of you, and that's God's." You know what I mean? So the Holy Spirit went and pretty much put the seed into, just by telling her.
That rendition is how Muslims believe it.
By telling her, you now have, you're carrying God's son in you.
Sure.
So that's pretty much it. So that's how it was conceived. That's how we believe it.
So we don't believe in the Holy Spirit as the way you see it, right?
Yeah.
We believe the Holy Spirit essentially was Angel Gabriel. Okay. Right? That he came and was just like, "Hey, this is gonna happen." Okay. Right? And so it's just a different rendition, but you see how the similarities are there, bro?
Yeah, it's like the same, but not.
Yeah, it's just explained differently.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, like the whole Baha'i thing. I'm like, kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So that's one thing I remember. I was really interested when I came to the country. You know, I had a lot of friends, and I used to ask them questions about, Islam and all that. And that's when I learned that you guys actually, you guys know about Jesus, and you guys, don't think he's God, but he's a prophet.
Bro, in fact, in Islam, if you don't believe in the Injil, which is the Bible, and Jesus as a prophet, you're not Muslim.
Dang, that's crazy.
Like, Frank, that's how legit of like, so you got to believe in Jesus as a prophet and the Injil, the Bible, and you have to believe in Moses as a prophet and the Torah. If you don't believe in either or, you're stepping out of the realms of being Muslim.
Oh, okay. So another thing, do you guys believe that Mary was a virgin?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So similar.
Yeah, bro.
It's wild, right?
It's so In fact, I'll even tell you this, like in Palestine, for example, right? Palestine, because I'm not going to give Israel props. Gang, right? but like there is whenever the riots happen between the fighting parties, right? The Christians always surround the Muslims during Ramadan because one of the biggest churches is in Bethlehem, and Bethlehem is where Jesus is from. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a lot of deep-seated like connections there. I just think over time, like when the whole like split between Catholicism and church happened, and then when the Protestants were established, there was a lot of like mixed agenda that was being pushed in the form of religion. And I think it left a lot of people like confused. You know what I'm saying?
And it was just, bro, like whenever, let's say we have something happens and we're friends and, something's a fallout, there's always going to be like, hey, you know what? This person, this, that, he said this, he's done that, blah, 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 blah. Usually that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, just because we don't agree or on something now, someone is bad and there's, misinformation being pulled. So,
see, bro, I think this is why I've always vibed with Oscar so much. He's studied the other side.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's okay if you don't believe, because not everybody's going to believe everything. But the fact that you've gone out of your way to even remotely, let me ask you this before like assuming too much, right? Have you read the Quran or ever like took a glance at it?
I've just friends that I have, I ask questions. Yeah. So for me, usually I like to ask. I'm like, so like I just did. So what do you think? How do you guys believe in this and that? You know what I'm saying?
You should probably take a peek at it from the English perspective, because I think you're going to find even
They have it in English?
Yeah. There's English translations, or you can just get it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just type in English translation.
There's this one dude I follow. He's actually Muslim. I forgot his name. I was trying to look him up when we first started the conversation. But he looks, like Middle Eastern and everything, but he's straight up American.
Really?
Yeah. And the way he be preaching.
Where's he from?
I'm not sure. I think he's from out here. He's very famous though on like Instagram.
What's he look like? Can you describe him?
I mean, he look like something like
he said he looked like you, bro.
He got the whole junk, the whole shebang. You know what I mean? I forgot his name. It starts with an owl.
L?
Something like that. But yeah. But I was telling him, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think I found out who the theys are.
Who are the theys, bro?
You know who I'm talking about? The they control everything.
What Tate was referring to? Theys?
They.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I have a clue who I think they are, but yeah.
I think is the Catholic Church.
Damn. Okay, that's a perspective.
Because they've literally been in power for thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? My conspiracy hat now. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they, burnt out the Library of Alexandria. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because who has the other, like, book of knowledge? Who has all the historical facts that nobody's allowed to read except, like, maybe the Pope and a few other Catholics? It's them in the Vatican. Everything is in the Vatican. They say they know the truth about Jesus. What is the truth about Jesus? That the Christians don't want to accept. Like, what is the truth? You know what I'm saying? What are they? Because they're not Christians. Catholics are not Christians. They're their own little thing.
But Christian belief just means that you believe in Christ.
Yeah, they're not. They're not Christian. They don't believe in Jesus as God.
The Catholics?
The Catholics. I'm not talking about the Catholic people. I'm talking about
you're talking about
bishop,
the actual
hierarchy.
Oh, okay. Where'd you get this information?
Man, just look it up. Dive into that rabbit hole.
That rabbit hole?
Yo, what was that movie that came out that Nicolas Cage was in? This was like 15 years ago, though.
Oh,
it was based around what this brother is saying right now.
Yeah, you're talking about Christ.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
it's like a whole.
I was about to say Night at the Museum.
Nah, this man right here. He said the night at the Smithsonian, dog. I feel you, big homie.
Oh man,
it was based.
But they have everything. They got the spear supposedly Jesus got poked with.
Oh, they got.
They have the whole the
really
the joint where he put his face in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They have everything. They have books. They have the oldest Bible. They have everything. They have all the records. That's have
interesting.
All the gold, all the artifacts. Something came out that they even know about. You know, they have records from hundreds and hundreds of years of like UFO sightings and what they really are and all that. Yeah, and the Anunnakis. They know all about that.
What is Anunnakis, yo?
All right, so I don't know too much, but pretty much they say the Anunnakis are the aliens. They're the ones that created humans. As far as like, we were experiment. Like we were serving that one god. I think his name is like Inu or something like that. But they're like, it's not a religion. It's just a folk tale. Maybe I don't know. But everything comes.
And you're saying the Vatican is hiding all of this?
Yeah,
that's your.
Like
they
know.
Your
yeah, they know everything.
So my theory is, I think, because it's a known fact that the Federal Reserve isn't owned by America, right? It's a private entity. Mm-hmm. I think there's like whoever was on Jekyll Island initially, like those families, not the brothers or not the people that got passed away in the Titanic. I'm talking about like the Chase, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. I think there's like a supreme family, kind of like La Cosa Nostra style, right? That are like on top of the world of everything. And I think they're the days, and I think they're the ones that have tools in play, like maybe the Vatican and maybe this matrix that Tate talks about.
So what if, you know how back in the day they had the 5 families?
Yeah.
In the mob.
Yeah.
What if the days
are the families?
There's different families.
That's exactly what I'm getting at, dog.
Like the Vatican and the Catholics that run everything.
Yeah.
They have their own banks, bro.
Yeah, hell yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? What about people that run the medias? That own the medias.
Side note, I'll go find it. It's a Wall Street Journal article that I read about the Mormons. Don't quote me on the actual number. But do you know like a principle that you got to do as a Mormon, speaking of like the industry that we're all like connected to? Do you know what every single Mormon family has to do as they await for Christ to come back?
What?
You have to put into life insurance policies. They own like some like wild $1 trillion like number of like policies. So they're like, when shit hits the fan, we have X amount of dollars ready to cash out so we can ball out.
Wild.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So why are you doing that if, you know what I mean? Yeah. Based on what you're saying.
Yeah. So maybe it's just there's different entities, different families are running. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but those families die off. You know what I'm saying? The Vatican been there forever.
That's what I'm saying. But
I feel like these families, the Vatican and like the banking systems and all they're just the tools to the famey. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean? That it's all connected.
So it's all just a big old pyramid scheme.
Yeah, straight up. Straight up. And they just gonna be like, we told you so. You know what I mean?
Bro.
Like, damn,
You're either recruit or being recruited.
So as a Muslim, when you die, do you get the answers to everything?
So what happens is when you pass away as a Muslim, when you're entered in the grave, you're going to be questioned on 3 questions. Who was your Lord? Who was your prophet? No, 4 questions. Who was your Lord? Who was your prophet? What book was given to you, right? Or revealed to your people? And what do you believe? right? So you got to say, hey, I'm Muslim. Islam was my religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which just means God in Arabic, right? And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was our prophet. If you don't answer those properly, then prior to the day of judgment actually happening, your accounting of your good deeds and your bad deeds starts in the grave. And the first accounting will be of, did you pray? So because like it's the shahada is the number one pillar, then it's prayer, then it's fasting during the month of Ramadan, right? Then it's like giving charity, zakat, right? And then lastly going on pilgrimage to Mecca. Right, which is going to start in another like 5 days. Right? Everybody's preparing to go to Mecca for pilgrimage right now. And then if you can't go, then you fast during those 10 days, right? If you're going to be asked, did you pray 5 times a day? And if you didn't pray, right, then your accounting starts.
I'm saying, like, do you get answers?
Answers to what?
Everything.
Yeah, so what we believe is our answers are going to start coming through whatever was revealed to us in the Quran, for us believing is the truth, right? And the answer to Islam is, hey, there's what's the word I'm looking for, man? There's checks and balances in everything in Islam, right? So for every positive you do, you'll get positive. For every negative you do, you'll also get accounting for that. And sent on in the grave, your answer will be whether, hey, God is merciful enough to send you to heaven because he believes you did everything right, or he's going to send you to hellfire for a limited amount of time till you serve your sentence and then go back. Oh, so really? in that process, we believe our answers are going to be answered based on how we carried ourselves as individuals.
That's interesting, bro.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's why, man, I feel like it's important to just ask questions, man, depending on what it is, instead of just like...
Because a lot of people paint Islam to be this, like, reckless, violent, gun-ho, chop your head off religion. There is portions of it that has violence, but just like every religion and everything in society has been corrupted by bad leaders. Bro.
Look what the Catholic Church has done with natives in other countries to get them to believe in Christianity.
I mean, the Dark Ages was all the Catholic Church, bro.
Bro.
Like, went through some wild stuff.
Look what they're still doing to little boys and girls.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, bro, I got a crucial last thing. I got an answer that I freaking been asked to give myself for so many years. So, I was wondered, growing up, how come priests can't get married or can't have a wife?
I'm curious.
Do you know?
No, I don't. I'm curious to know.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready? So, gay. I was in New York, right? And I was in New York, and one of my cousins' husband, he is Italian Argentine. So his family most Argentines are Italian descent. So
Argentine meaning like from Argentina.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not Argentinian, it's Argentine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so most of them are they're Italians, right? That's why they talk like that. Hey,
so they're smooth dudes too, bro.
Yeah, that's why they talk like that in Argentina. Because they're Italian. So I went to their house, and then I met his stepdad. Okay. He's full Italian. He came to Italy after World War II. From Italy, then moved to Argentina, grew up there, scholar, very sharp individual. He told me some crucial stories about, back in the day in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in New York, because that's where it was. And he made suits because he's a tailor. So he made suits for mobsters and stuff like that. He told me that he had a huge store, like his storefront, and then in the back he had a big room, and they'll come up to him and be like, hey, do you mind if we, have a meeting in the back? Like, as long as you guys don't put me in any situation, you guys can do whatever you want. Go ahead. Bro, yeah. He told me some crucial stories. And then we were talking about church, and I was like,
Just say yes or no. Did he ever do anything for any of the mob families?
No.
No.
Other than let him use the
but he never tailored none of them up.
Oh, tailored, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. But no illegal stuff.
Yeah.
So then we're talking about church, and I was like, I got some questions about the Catholic Church, and he was like, before any of that, he was like, I need you to answer, what's the Holy Trinity? Before we even have this conversation, and I told him, he's like, all right, cool, all right. So I was like, look, how come priests can't get married? So he said in the 1400s, priests were able to have families and get married. But eventually it became too expensive because the Catholic Church is funding their living since they can't work.
Wow.
So it was getting,
because they're serving the church,
bro?
Yes. So it was getting too expensive. And they say, from now on, no more marriages. You guys can no longer get married.
It's an economic play, bro?
Yes.
Wowzers.
So now guess what? These fools are out here, you know what I'm saying, feeling some type of way. And then there's kids around, and that's crazy. They can just fix that problem, bro. Imagine how many.
But now it's probably different. Now they're probably like, yeah, you're sacrificing.
Yeah, that's what they told me when I was a kid. Oh, that they're sacrificing their life for God, bro.
Bro, you know what's crazy in Islam? And I hate to make this like Islam versus like Christianity type of conversation, but like in Islam, it's said culture laterally like kind of like bastardized it a little bit, right? It's said to get married at a younger age because open adultery or fornication, if you do it too much, leads down to a path of like heedlessness, kind of like what we're experiencing right now in this world. So it's like, if you're 17, 18, 19, get married. And then there's all this like overemphasis on like economics, right? Like, can you provide? Can you do this? Yeah. But ultimately, it's God that provides.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
God's going to be like, hey, I'm going to put you in this position because you're doing it for me so that you protect yourself and you stay chastity for God before you get married. Then I'll provide for you and your wife.
Dang.
Right? So like, where is this conviction in God? Like, how come it's not there anymore, bro?
Because we're not pushing that. It's against the plan.
Well, when I was in school, it used to be like whack,
Yeah.
What, the whole God thing?
Yeah.
Like
we used to
that's
look
not cool.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Like, who's the lame over here type of demonstration.
But you know why? Because our parents weren't teaching us that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny though that I grew up in such a like unstable whatever
environment.
I was environment. I was a Catholic at one time. I was a Mormon at one time.
Wow.
I was probably a Jehovah's Witness at one time. A Baptist.
Dang.
Like where when I was becoming a teenager, I was like, hold up, I don't want to deal with none of this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I grew up like that. Like I was an atheist at one time.
Wow. Were you a latchkey kid as well? Like parents were like constantly working or just moving around? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, my dad was probably working, or he was a young father. He had me at like 16.
Wow.
So like he was out chilling with his boys or whatever on the weekend. Yeah. So I used to not even see him. Him and my mom broke up. I was with her, so she was working. So most of she would work at night. So that's when I used to roam the streets at night till like 2-3 in the morning because I knew my mom wasn't coming home.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So I just made sure I came home
before her.
Yeah,
early morning.
Until I found
get home early. Yeah, mom.
Yeah, mom. I've been studying all night. You know what I'm saying, my man?
Yeah, and then like as I was growing older, I kind of found out a few things about my family where I was like, I didn't even care no more. I would smoke weed in my room. I would just do whatever. I used to not come home for like 2 weeks at a time.
Walking around the crib with a J.
Yeah, yo. Straight
up. Real shit.
That's real.
That's funny.
So
that's funny.
That's when I was like, yo. That's why I like went through what I went through. You know what I'm saying? Like that led me into that path. Not to like blame it on them or anything. It was
No, but that was the path that God ultimately picked for you, though, bro. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and then when I got out of jail, straight to having kids.
So I'm curious to know for you, Berto, since like you're
you call him Berto.
My bad.
I haven't even corrected him.
I'm over here butchering. Hey, blame it on English. English is my second language. I'm Indian. I'm riding that card, bro.
Right? He said Roberto.
I ain't even corrected the last few times.
I thought he was just like,
my bad. So,
nah, you good.
So I'm curious to know, like, not necessarily your parenting style. You've been through some stuff in your life, right? Clearly from this podcast, like, how have you led your kids so any of that trauma doesn't necessarily affect them, but you're instilling like positivity, leadership, especially in this agenda woke culture that's trying to push like
that's a great question
on kids now.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Number one, I keep them away from my family. They spend zero time with my family. It's just us. And then like obviously at first I was young. I was 22 when I had my first kid. So I was still like, I was doing what my dad was doing. Like I really didn't become like quote unquote like a good father until like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Cause I used to like go to DC. I'd be wilding in with a whole family at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think it was like right before the pandemic hit. That's when I was like slow your roll. It took me like for real, almost losing my life drunk driving to like kind of like wake up. You know what I mean?
So what have been some of the changes since that crazy event?
I spend more time with my kids, undivided attention,
quality
time. Like just spend more time with them, and just tell like I don't accept. My daughter knows that if she don't come home with A's or B's, that's not cool. She's like, what if I get a C? I'm like, that's unacceptable.
Will you spend time with her doing homework and stuff
like
that?
Everything.
That's awesome, dude.
I like text her teachers and stuff like that.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Back and forth, like what they need, whatever. Like it's just having that relationship with them too. Like she can tell me things that I won't tell her mom. You know what I mean? Like if she'll be like, don't say nothing, or she'll tell me.
They trust you.
Yeah, they trust me. You know what I mean? And also like having patience, because I do have one kid that has autism. So it's like patience with her. But from day one, I was like, you know what? Even if she got diagnosed with this, we're going to treat her the same. Don't treat her any different. So even though you can tell, but you can't.
Yeah, you can, but you can't.
That's wisdom, man.
But that's it. Just spending time with them. And like, you like nice house, you were like, yo, nice house or whatever. For real. If it was up to me, I'd be living in a 1-bedroom apartment or somebody's basement. But like, since I do remodeling and stuff, I used to always go in people's houses like, damn, I need to like, even if it's rent, because that's what I do, I rent.
Yeah.
Like my kids gotta live in this. Like they deserve this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, everything for real for them.
That's beautiful, dude.
Yeah. You ain't got no kids?
Nah, bro. No kids.
Oh,
I'm super single too. You know what I mean? Ladies, Latinos.
Ladies, my Mercedes, hotel in the back. Sorry, no.
Hey, Andrew Tate said, hey, you can be Christian too. You're a Muslim man.
Yeah. So, bro, thank you so much for coming here. I don't mean to cut it off, but we do got to answer the questions for our homies that had. Yeah. So what was their questions?
Yeah, let's end it, and then we'll click, because it's about to cut off.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, bro. We appreciate you, and yeah.